Hi everyone, I'm Tom Hinkey with the Albany Fire Department. I'm here today to talk to you about CPR. The Albany Fire Department has been teaching CPR to 8th graders for over 2 years, and we have taught over 2,000 people so far. Please help us continue to increase this number by learning CPR with us and sharing what you have learned. I'd like to start with some learning objectives, and the first one is the importance of bystander CPR. Most cardiac arrests occur in the home or outside the hospital, and to increase somebody's survival rate, bystander CPR is the #1 way to help make sure that somebody survives. For every minute without CPR, a person's chance of surviving goes down by approximately 10%. Our average response time here at the Albany Fire Department is 4 to 6 minutes. So if you do a little math on that, by the time we get there, somebody's chance of survival is about 40% or less. That's why the bystander CPR importance is so high, because if there are people there that are trained to act and help somebody, that increases somebody's chance of survival. Some other statistics that are good to know is that the national or average survival rate when somebody goes into cardiac arrest is about 25%. Our friends to the north in Seattle have a survival rate of approximately 63%, and that is because most of the people in Seattle know how to do CPR. In Salem, where they've been teaching 8th graders CPR for 4 years, their survival rate has increased to 27%, and they have many saves credited with bystander CPR. In Albany, we've been teaching CPR, like I said, for 2 years, and we do actually have a really nice story. One of our big public safety supporters, Jay Bertram at Bertram's Metals, one of their customers went into cardiac arrest. His employees are trained in CPR. They perform CPR on the individual, and that person is alive today. Another important part of our 8th grade CPR is how we came to be here, and that's through the Albany Public Safety Foundation. The Albany Public Safety Foundation is made up of members of our community, primarily business owners that think that public safety is very important, and they put a lot of money and time and energy into making sure that we are all safe. They have purchased equipment for the Albany Fire Department, including our mannequins, our trainer AEDs. They have also purchased AEDs for the Albany Police Department and put on other community safety events. So let's get right into doing CPR. What does CPR stand for? CPR stands for cardio, which is a fancy word for heart, pulmonary, which is a fancy word for lungs, resuscitation. Resuscitation is what we do when we push on somebody's chest. The CPR that we're doing today is called hands-only CPR, so we won't be putting our mouth on anybody or anything during this training. It's really important to know where to put your hands, and we like to follow the rule of 2s. So we use 2 hands when we do CPR. We put our hands together and we push down on somebody's chest, right in the center of their chest. We push down 2 inches. We make sure we let their chest come back up 2 inches. We do 2 compressions per second, so that's 120 times per minute. And we do 2 minutes of CPR and then switch to another person when possible. If you're all by yourself and there's nobody else there to help you, then we ask that you do CPR as long as you are physically capable.
So the next part of our lesson plan is to talk about when to call 911 and the importance of calling 911. 911 is only for life-threatening emergencies, and when somebody needs CPR, that is definitely a life-threatening emergency. That means that the person is not breathing and their heart is not beating. Other life-threatening emergencies would include broken bones, someone having a hard time breathing, someone having chest pain, things of that nature.
So the next part of our learning objective is actually doing CPR. For today's purposes, we're going to demonstrate on a mannequin. So we're going to repeat the rule of 2s again. So remember that we use 2 hands when we do CPR. We push down on the person's chest 2 inches. We let their chest come back up 2 inches. We do 2 compressions per second. And we do CPR for approximately 2 minutes. If there's somebody that you can switch with, that's the best. If there's nobody for you to switch with, then we ask that you do CPR for as long as you can. So getting into how do we know when we do CPR? If we find somebody laying on the floor or the bed or the couch and they are unresponsive, and I can show you how we determine that they're unresponsive, then we will call 911 to activate emergency services, and then we would begin CPR. To determine if somebody is unresponsive and they need CPR, we do what we call a tap and shout. Hey, 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 are you okay? If that person does not respond to that, they are probably not asleep. Either you can call 911 or you can ask someone else to call 911, and then you begin CPR. To do CPR correctly, we need to expose the person's chest, and we want to put one hand in the center of their chest. We want to put the other hand on top of that hand. We want our shoulders over our wrists, and then we follow the rule of 2s. 2 hands, pushing down 2 inches, letting the chest come back up 2 inches, 2 compressions per second, and 2 minutes of CPR. Some things that it's important to know about doing CPR. It's important when you do CPR that you do CPR on a hard surface. The best surface is the floor or the ground. We don't want you to do CPR on a bed or in a chair or on a couch. When you do CPR, it's possible that you will break somebody's ribs. That's okay. Keep doing CPR. If somebody wakes up while you're doing CPR and asks you to stop, then you need to stop doing CPR. Again, this is hands-only CPR. We won't be breathing for somebody doing this. Just pushing on their chest is going to give them the best chance of survival. The next thing that we want to talk about as a part of our lesson plan in CPR is an AED. AED stands for Automatic External Defibrillator. The most important part of CPR is doing really effective chest compressions, which we just covered. But the second most important part of CPR is the use of an AED, or Automatic External Defibrillator. The Albany Public Safety Foundation has put a lot of money and effort into making sure that there are plenty of AEDs in our community. Businesses that you frequent might have an AED. We'll talk more later about where you can use an app to find the closest AED to you. This is a real AED. This is the AED found in the lobby at the Albany Fire Department, Station 11. Let's go over the contents of an AED. Most are similar, but the contents might vary a little bit. So you might find a pair of scissors, you might find a razor or a towel. If the person's chest is very hairy, you might need to shave where the AED patches go, which is here and here. The scissors are to cut their clothes off, and if it's equipped with a towel, the towel is to dry them off. They don't need to be completely dry, they just need to be dry enough so that these giant stickers will stay on their chest. There are pictures that show you where to place the stickers, the upper right portion of the chest and the lower left portion of the torso. The important part of using an AED is that you have to turn it on. Once you turn it on, the AED will tell you what to do. Most AEDs have a power button. Some AEDs have a power button, and if you open it, it will turn it on as well. So in this case, I'm opening the AED.
Begin by removing all clothing from the patient's chest.
And it will tell me what
clothing if needed.
An AED delivers an electrical shock to a person's heart that needs it. There's an extremely low chance of you receiving an electrical shock while somebody is being shocked by an AED, but it's important that we don't touch the person when the AED tells us not to. It's analyzing that person's heart rhythm to see if they need an electrical shock, and then if they do need an electrical shock, we deliver that shock by pushing this button here when the AED tells us to. It's also important that we're not touching the person when we deliver the electrical shock, one, so that we don't get shocked, which is highly unlikely, but more importantly, so that they are given the appropriate amount of electricity. Now we're going to go over placing the AED on a person. In this case, I have the AED turned off so that you can hear my voice doing the description. Like I said before, an AED will talk to you and tell you what to do. I can either turn the AED on with the power button, or with this brand of AED, I can open the case and that would turn it on. It would prompt me to make sure that there is no clothing on the patient, or if I need to cut the clothing off of the patient. It will then tell me to place the stickers on the patient, and you can see in the picture where to put it. If you put the sticker in the wrong place, or if you do anything incorrect, the AED will repeat the same instructions over and over and over and over again. You may have experienced this when your parents have asked you to do something and they repeat the same instructions over and over and over again. Once the pads are on, the AED will instruct you not to touch the patient. It is analyzing through thousands of algorithms if this person needs to receive an electrical shock. If the person needs to receive an electrical shock, the AED will say something similar to shock advised, and this will light up. Again, we don't want to touch this person. Highly unlikely that we would be shocked, but we want to make sure that they receive the electricity. So we make sure that nobody is touching them, we push the button, and then we start CPR again right away. The AED will prompt us to start CPR if we do not start CPR right away. The AED will also give us CPR instructions if we forget how to do CPR. Many AEDs will start talking you through CPR right away. Some AEDs have an information button that will tell you how to do CPR. The AED may or may not have a metronome to help you keep time so you know how fast to push on the person's chest. The AED will also let you know how much time has gone by, so that once 2 minutes has gone by, if there's somebody for you to switch with, you can switch, or the AED will tell you to stop touching the patient after 2 minutes so that it can analyze and see if they need to receive an electrical shock. In just a moment, we're going to show you what all of this looks like in real time. simulating calling 911, doing CPR, and using an AED. You will see that this is a metal strip across our patient's chest. That's not necessary for a real AED, and a real AED will not have that. Our trainer AED requires that so that the two pads know that they are on the patient's chest. Hey, are you okay? They're not responsive. Sandy, can you please call 911 and get an AED?
Yes.
I'm going to expose their chest. There's no obvious signs of breathing, and I'm going to start CPR.
I called 911 and I got the AED.
Go ahead and turn it on or open it.
Look carefully
Put the stickers on their chest.
on the white adhesive pads. Peel one.
Keep doing
place pad
CPR.
Exactly as shown in the picture. Press firmly to patient's bare skin. No one should
Stop doing
touch the
CPR.
patient. Analyzing. No one should touch the patient. Shock advised.
Don't touch
Stay
the
clear
patient.
of patient.
Shocking the
Press
patient.
flashing orange shock delivered. Be sure emergency medical services have been called. It is safe to touch the patient.
Tom, are you ready to switch? Are you getting tired?
For
I'm okay.
CPR,
Okay.
I can continue doing
press
CPR.
the flashing blue button.
The last thing we want to talk about today is an app that can help you with CPR. And the app is called PulsePoint. You can download the app to a smartphone, and if somebody is within a quarter mile of you and needs CPR, the app will tell you that. The app will also tell you where the closest AED is to your location. If you're in a business and you notice that they have an AED and it's not on the app, you can add it to the app. In the city of Albany, the PulsePoint app will also tell you where there's a motor vehicle crash and where there's a structure fire. And that is to help you stay away from that area and help you and your family stay safe.